All right, let's get right into it. I want you to forget everything you think you know about building a business.
Seriously, you don't need a bunch of investors, you don't need endless 5-year plans, and you definitely don't need explosive, out-of-control growth. What you really need is speed, simplicity, and just the guts to make a decision. This is the whole idea behind the book Rework. It's a manifesto for anyone who wants to start small, stay independent, and build something that actually works. And it all starts by tearing down the old rules.
So, first up, we're tearing up the old rulebook. Rework argues that a lot of what we call conventional wisdom in business isn't just old-fashioned, it's actively holding you back.
You've heard this a million times, right? Someone says, "Oh, that sounds nice, but it would never work in the real world." Well, the book argues that the real world isn't a place, it's just an excuse. It's what pessimistic people say to justify not even trying something new. They're talking about their reality, not yours.
Here's another one they love to throw around, the idea that failure is the best teacher. Fail forward. Look, sure, you learn from your mistakes, but what do you really learn? You learn what not to do. Success, though? Success gives you a winning formula. It gives you a blueprint you can actually use to build momentum and win again.
Those 5-year plans? Yeah, forget them. Rework calls them what they are, complete guesses. Planning that far out is basically fantasy football. There are way too many things you can't control. So instead of trying to predict the future, just decide what you're going to get done this week. That's where real progress actually happens.
So, if you're not making these huge, long-term plans, and you're not afraid to junk the old rules, what's the alternative? Well, it's surprisingly simple. You build with what you've got. It's time to embrace your constraints.
This is probably one of the most powerful ideas in the whole book. You don't have enough time or money or people? Good, that's an advantage. Limited resources force you to be creative. They cut out all the waste. Just think about it. Prisoners can make weapons out of a bar of soap because they have no other choice. Constraints make you inventive.
And this means you can just let go of that idea that you need some huge team or a massive budget or a slick downtown office to get started. You probably don't even need outside money. Being frugal isn't a weakness. It's a huge strategic advantage that keeps you lean, fast, and smart.
And when we talk about investors, Rework is super blunt about this. Taking their money should be your absolute last resort. We're talking Plan Z. Why? Because the moment you take outside money, you're giving up control. You get distracted chasing a quick payday for them, and you end up building what your investors want, not what your customers actually need.
Okay, so the mindset is set. But how do you actually build something? The Rework method is all about execution by subtraction. It's about building half a product, not a half-assed product. There's a big difference.
The whole process comes down to ruthless prioritization. Instead of getting buried in details, you focus on 4 key things. First, you find the absolute core of your idea, what they call the epicenter. Second, you gotta ignore all the tiny details, at least for now. Third, you make decisions and keep moving. And fourth, you launch it, now, sooner than you think you're ready.
So what exactly is the epicenter? It's the one thing your product or service absolutely cannot live without. The book gives a perfect example, a hot dog stand. You can get rid of the fancy mustard, the relish, the cart, but if you take away the hot dog, you don't have a hot dog stand anymore. That is your epicenter, and that's where all your energy needs to go.
Momentum is everything in this game. Long, drawn-out projects are killers. They just drain morale and motivation. The longer you wait, the less likely you are to ever actually launch. The key is to get into a rhythm of making decisions, even tiny ones. Every single decision is progress, and progress is what gets you out into the world.
So, you've built something. Now, how in the world do you get people to notice? Well, Rework has this brilliant, totally counterintuitive take on marketing. Forget about trying to outspend your competition, it's time to outteach them.
This is the classic David versus Goliath problem, right? Every small business faces it. You just can't match the big guys' ad budgets or their massive sales teams. So what's your move?
The answer is simple, but it's so powerful. Out-teach them. Share what you know, freely. When you teach people something valuable, you're not just selling, you're building an audience. They start to trust you. They see you as an authority. And that kind of loyalty, that's something money just can't buy. You worried about giving away all your secrets? Don't be. Think about famous chefs. They put their recipes in cookbooks. They show their techniques on TV for everyone to see. Why? Because they know the recipe isn't the magic. The real secret is in the execution.
No one's going to buy their cookbook and put them out of business. It's the same for you.
All right, we have covered a lot here, from tearing down old rules to building brand new strategies. But absolutely none of it matters without one final crucial piece of the puzzle: action.
And this brings us to the final, and maybe the most urgent, idea in Rework. We like to think of inspiration as this timeless, magical thing. But the book flips that on its head. Inspiration is a resource with a shockingly short shelf life. It's like fresh milk or a banana. If you don't use it right away, it goes bad.
And that leaves us with one clear call to action. Inspiration is a now thing. It doesn't wait for the perfect time because there is no perfect time. So if you have that idea, if you feel that spark, don't you dare put it on a shelf for later. Grab it right back and put it to work. Stop planning and start doing.